Time to talk a little transfer news. Shaka, Hislop, Alejandro Moreno, Nedum and Onuoha, and we will have Julien joining us as well. My name is Kay Murray and we're looking at some of what's been going on during the World Cup, particularly at Manchester United. Andre Santos has joined United from Chelsea, £48 million transfer fee plus £2 million in add-ons, and Youri Tielemans on the verge of completing a surprise move right now from Aston Villa. Jules, what more can you tell us about this situation with Tielemans?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite an incredible story for the last 24 hours, really. I mean, not so much incredible in the sense that he had a release clause in there and he put it himself, because I think he always wanted at 29 that kind of bigger move to happen, if you see what I mean. But once the Edison transfer from Atalanta to Manchester United collapsed because of his failed medical, I think United looked at Tielemans, and I think it's a great signing. I think it's probably a better signing than if they had signed Edison, by the way. They thought about, okay, £35 million. He's 29, but still, he was Aston Villa's best player last season. He's a proven Premier League player. I think he's an outstanding footballer. He's got pretty much everything. If you add the right midfielder next to him and next to Kobbie Mainoo, for example, then I think you've got a great double pivot, midfield three, whatever Carrick wants to do, really. And I think for that is perfect. So it's a really good coup for Manchester United and a terrible blow, I think, for Aston Villa.
Where are you on this, Nedum? Because as Jules mentioned, he's 29 and we've seen that with this whole Ineos thing that it was 26 and under with transfers and players coming in. This is a player, though, that has obviously impressed.
Listen, I don't really take the Ineos stuff too seriously because I think the goalposts can be moved as and when. And I think I'm with Jules that this is a great signing for them because this is an established Premier League player. I think he was the captain for Belgium at this World Cup. And United signing for £35 million. Almost feels like a steal to be able to take essentially the heart out of what is a competitor for United and Aston Villa for £35 million. And with that experience, that drive to be successful, to, you know, for anyone that signs for United, it's the idea of taking them back to the promised land, back to them contesting for titles again. I think Tielemans are going to be very, very competitive from that standpoint. And yeah, at 29, he's probably older than they would like. But for that fee, that's a brilliant deal, I think.
I think it just makes Manchester United better, and that's what you want with transfers, is that you want to improve what you already have. And I think Michael Carrick, who did a tremendous job with Manchester United, looks at this as a player who can improve his team, who can improve his squad. And I think beyond the fact that you're improving yourself, you're really taking away from Aston Villa. I just can't picture a midfield in Aston Villa without Tielemans, and now you can start to think about the possibilities of what they can do with Tielemans at Manchester United. If you're a Manchester United fan, you should be excited about this.
So I get the 26 and under thing from a business perspective, but right now Manchester United's needs are far greater. You've lost a defensive midfielder in Casemiro, you've lost that experience, you bring in Tielemans. I think this is a good get for them in leading Manchester United forward. Truth is, quite simply, is he better than what they currently have in the dressing room? The answer is a yes. From a footballing perspective, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and Jules, you mentioned it. It's a revamped midfield that we'll be looking at with Manchester United because Andre Santos is official. Tell us a little bit more about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I seem to be the only one to like Andre Santos, to be fair. He was outstanding in France, in Ligue 1, one of the best midfielders when he was at Strasbourg. Things haven't really worked out maybe the way Chelsea were hoping when he joined them, or when he rejoined them really from Strasbourg. Although I thought at times he had some good games last season for them in what was quite a difficult environment because of the change of managers, because of things not really working out with Liam Rossini. So I really like him. I think he's still a young midfielder, but he's very complete in a lot of the things and the skill set that he has to do a lot of things on the pitch. And at 22, I think the room for improvement is great there, and maybe it's a little bit expensive, but again, I think that was the value on the market for a player like him at his age with the skill set that he has.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, just because like when I watched Andre Santos play, I thought, yeah, he's a good player, but he just kind of blended in with what either Chelsea was. But for me, he never stood out in a negative way. And now that I see these 22 years of age, like the fee itself feels quite high for somebody that hasn't exactly, like, you know what I mean, brought so much light to his career at this moment in time in the Premier League. But with good coaching, you can see something positive happen. And I think for the age that he's at, and given the fact that Chelsea once saw the talent there, say 3 years ago, I believe this can be a really good signing. I believe it can be. the fee feels high now, but in 5-6 years' time, when he's 27 years of age and he's done well for United, like that fee will look like the softest thing you could have paid. So I'm a believer that this can be a good one, and whilst United can afford to do that, a guy that does have Premier League experience, even if it's only for like a couple of years, I think I'm okay with it.
Well, I just think the math doesn't quite add up. If you're thinking Tielemans 35, Andre Santos 48, that doesn't quite add up. However, I think this highlights how good of a signing Tielemans is, that you were able to get him for that amount of money. It's a project. This is an expensive project. And we're banking on, well, he shows some signs. I think those signs are more actually what his game is going to be all about, and he's going to fully develop. Look, I'm all in on Tielemans. I'm not nearly as all in when it comes to Andre Santos. I see the potential, but so many times you bank on potential, and that potential doesn't quite come what you think is going to be, and therefore you get yourself into trouble. I think it's a lot to pay for a player that hasn't done a whole lot in the Premier League.
Don't feel too bad for Aston Villa on the Tielemans situation, because they seem to have just hijacked Newcastle United's move for Johan Manzambi. How are you feeling about this, Shaka?
From a Newcastle perspective, I mean, I'm not sure things would get much worse for Newcastle. There's this summer. As much money as they spent 12 months ago, and those signings, Voltemada, Visa, didn't live up to expectation. So Newcastle struggling in the league, and now this summer has just been a calamity, is the only way I can put it. So from a Newcastle perspective, awful. From a Villa perspective, Manzambi's outstanding player. You saw that during the course of this tournament, establish himself as a player that many clubs would want, and I think Villa have gotten a good one here. There's no other way to put it. So, well done, Villa, but I'm losing some sleep.
So what's happened here, Joe?
Wait. Not a lie. Before we go to Jules, please, you want to retract what you just said, that you're losing sleep?
Not a lot. Not a lot.
As has been established, Shaka can sleep on a clothesline. So, Jules, we do need to know what's happened here. Was Champions League football that decisive dangling carrot for Manzambi?
Yeah, I think it was the two projects were on the table. It was the same. It was a very similar offer. I think there's a little bit more money for him wage-wise at Villa, certainly what I was told, than at Newcastle. But again, not that much. I think it's the two projects. I think that where the clubs are at, really what the clubs did last season as well, and you know, the Champions League attraction for sure for him is huge. I feel for Newcastle a little bit. I mean, even if they were trying to re-sign Shaka Hislop, that would fall through. Everything seems to fall through for them. So, like, Victor Munoz was the first one. Then obviously Manzambi. Remember the Ekitike saga last summer too. It's just one of those. They have a plan B and a plan C, sure, but the plan A was Manzambi, and I think it's a massive loss for them and a great gain for Villa.
Okay.
What letter grade would it be? What plan would it be to have Shaka as your target? If it's plan B, plan C, how far down the alphabet do we have to go to get to Shaka? Good Lord.
Feels harsh, by the way.
And mind you, and we also
I love having Shaka in my
I'm not bad enough somewhere as it is from a club perspective.
Can I just say the anti-Bundesliga bias on this desk is, what about the perspective of Freiburg? My beloved Freiburg.
Ali's even visited Freiburg. Okay. Did you want to?
Yeah, I was going to say as well, because we're
Okay, hold that thought. We'll go back.
I thought it was a great point, Nedum.
Yeah, well.
This is Xabi Alonso on whether he wants to keep Enzo Fernandez at Chelsea. He says, yes, we have spoken, but as you can imagine, what we have spoken about remains private. Ali, he wants him to stay. Should come as no surprise to you, or is it?
That he wants Enzo Fernandez. I think Xabi Alonso recognizes that Enzo Fernandez is an important part of what he can do in the future, and I think he can extract more, at least he believes so, that he can extract more from Enzo Fernandez. I also think that when you come in as a new manager, while you want to establish your players and your style of play, you also want to keep some continuity while you build on top of that continuity. And part of that continuity in terms of personalities inside that locker room, Enzo Fernandez seems to play an important role. So I think he's massaging the situation. There's a little massaging going on. And Xabi Alonso is coming from a very difficult circumstance at Real Madrid. He knows full well how difficult a locker room can be, and massaging a guy like Enzo Fernandez, I think, is a start for him to be able to shape what he wants to do with this team.
Nedum, let's go back to the thought.
Oh, the previous one?
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, it sounds a bit negative. I'm sorry, I don't want to have to do this. But we were talking about, say, Newcastle and their signings and so on, and people not arriving. But we're also not addressing the fact that Gordon, Tonali, and Guimaraes are potentially on the way out as well. 3 of your key players. You know, so yeah, it's great that people, you can say, oh, people aren't going there, how sad.
How much sleep you want me to lose, Nedum?
I don't know if it's possible for you to lose too much.
What's happened here? Sitting next to the beacon of positivity is not paying off.
What?
Why are you so angry?
I don't know. I think maybe it is you.
Not me! What did I do?
Jules, do we know any more about this whole Enzo Fernandez situation and where he might be headed?
I think Xabi Alonso feels that he would fit perfectly the system. We know that Xabi will very likely play with a back three like he did at Bayer Leverkusen. And then in that system, you can have Enzo as one of the 210s like we used to see at Leverkusen. You can imagine him and Cole Palmer behind your striker. You can play him a bit deeper if you want in that double pivot in front of the back three, which I don't think is a role really, and I've said it many times, that he can play in front of a back four. If there's a back three behind him, that obviously a very different dynamic and very different context and situation. So if you're Xabi Alonso, you would want to keep him for the quality that he can bring. What's different is what Enzo Fernandez wants himself. And as we know, already last season he was thinking about leaving and about what to do. Maybe Xabi Alonso can convince him to stay at least another year, work together and see where that goes. But right now, I think there's more probability for Enzo to want to leave than to want to stay.
Okay, let's take a look at how things are shaping up at Liverpool right now in terms of the ins and outs. Some big name outs, Mohamed Salah out on a free, Ibrahima Konate too, and Andy Robertson. So far, only Jeremy Jacquet and Victor Munoz coming in, and Andoni Iraola has said that more is needed in the transfer window. Obviously, we've signed 2 players already, but we need more players. We know this. Who are they getting, Jules?
Well, that's the question, Kay, really. We know that Michael Edwards had left the club and that they are right now looking quite aggressively at targets. Somebody like Bradley Barcola, for example, they need pace in those wide positions. One to replace Mo Salah on the right hand side. Victor Munoz is there, but Victor Munoz is a really young, promising player, but not an established player already who will have to discover the England and English football and the Premier League, etc., etc. So they want somebody as well as Victor Munoz. Bradley Barcola was, I think, the main objective with Yan Diomande. Diomande, it looks like they've missed out. For Barcola, it's very expensive what PSG would want for their winger. So they probably will have to look at other options. Somebody like Yakuba Minte, for example, at Brighton is a player that they've liked and followed for a long time. But is it the caliber of player that they want to sign? Is it good enough for a Liverpool team to start, for example, and be a Mo Salah replacement? I'm not so sure, and I don't think they are sure either. So they're looking, but they need at least one of those wingers that can ideally play on both sides. They need another midfielder. They need another centre-back too. That's a lot of signing to do when they've already spent 100 million on 2 players and have no money coming into the side.
Yeah, might start going to look at the bargain bin at Newcastle United right now.
Don't.
The
The rollback special, the clearance.
This is an interesting situation at Liverpool right now, Nedum.
Yeah, it is for sure. And I think last year it felt as if the squad wasn't big enough then.
Keep it positive. I know it's
So they're building back.
Yes.
They're building back. And you saw with the 3 names that are left, you're looking at Konate, you're looking at Salah, look at Robertson. These are 3 players who've been key for them throughout this 5 or 6 years, you could say, if not longer. And the ones that you're bringing in, you see the fee, you think this could work out. But Jules made a good point that, like Munoz, for example, he has potential. Liverpool, as a club, aren't in the position to be building on potential. They almost need to have this final form. So, for example, the signing of someone like a Tielemans to United, that's the type of signing that I believe Liverpool need at this moment in time. Yes, they are possibly a little bit older than the general sort of market would suggest is ideal, but it's the type that can make them competitive almost straight away. Because, as well, player-wise, it's easy to forget Ekitike is not going to start the season. You know, he did his Achilles, so he might not appear for the rest of this year. So these bodies, they do not have enough. And Iraola as a new coach in that space to not have a squad deep enough straight away to try and change the way that they try and play and so on. His job is probably the most difficult of any manager, I think, in the league right now.
I'm sure your analysis was great, Nedum, but you lost me after you said Munoz.
Sorry, Munoz.
No, it's okay, Nedum.
That's all right.
That way. We'll go with Munoz.
Munoz.
Sorry, how should I say it?
That's fine.
No,
Say it like
you said it
that.
great.
Say it
I'm just
like
saying you lost me.
Because I'm next to you.
I was entranced.
You
by
lived
the-
in Spain,
Yeah,
you speak Spanish,
exactly,
Lo siento, lo siento.
Go with it.
that
Go
was
with it.
sexy.
Stick with your gut. Okay. Thank you so much, Jules. Thank you, guys.
What
Keep
about
up
the
to date
10?
with everything
That
that's
was
going on
sexy too.
in the transfer window over on our website.